So, so I'll just repeat the question for the recording. So the question is, how do we retain information from RC? I told you it is a skill. So we are talking about skills. So what exactly is a skill? How do you define it? So if I look at an example, let's pick it up. Dance. Can I say dancing is a skill?
Yes, sir.
Now, my God, I've seen these millions of reels. Oi, Manthan. Why are you starting a whiteboard right now? Okay, this is Yogesh's account. I've tweaked the settings in my account, so no, so people can't do that all. Well, let's see. Okay. So you've seen a lot of reels on this song called Toba Toba. Not everybody dances well, right? So, for example, I am somebody who can't dance, who does not know how to dance. So, if I want to become a better dancer, the key thing is for me to practice every day. No matter how good a coach I am working with, if I am not practicing every day, chances are that I'll not really go on and be good at it. So it's the same thing with the retention in RC as well. You basically need to ensure that you practice it every day. So what do? Pick up a passage, read it, put the passage aside, and using your memory, write down three core things about that passage. Number one, the subject matter of the passage. Number two, uh, the purpose of the passage. And number three, the key idea of every paragraph. Initially, it is going to be very challenging, but within a few short weeks, you'd realize that you'd start doing it rather easily. Okay. So do that. And then maybe someday we can conduct a workshop and then we can pick these things up and talk about these more. Then we have a question about how to increase knowledge on vocabulary. Is only reading books enough? Kaushiki, is only reading books enough? Yes, in the long run. But you and I are writing a test. So we want to add a lot of words to our kitty in a short period of time. And therefore, it is important for us to take out at least 20 minutes every day where we go on to learn new words. Now, where can you learn those new words from and what kind of words are you focusing on? So number one, you need to learn high frequency words. Okay. Those are the kind of words that get asked in the exam. Number two, you can learn these words from any of these compilations of high frequency words. So it can be a word list, say something like Barron's GRE, or you can use association based methods. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. So you can go ahead and work with that. There are plenty of other books in that similar vein. So maybe you can look at that and do it. But the key thing is devote at least 20 minutes every day. So that consistency will matter a lot. Gorika, I want to buy a book for verbal practice. Which book should I buy? Is VRC Arun Sharma? Gorika, you are a part of iQuanta. Don't worry about books. And since this is an internal class, I can say this. Arun Sharma, I know him, of course, personally too. But then in the verbal book that he has published, there are quite a few errors. So, I mean, around 3-4% errors is something that are fine with me. I can live with that. Unfortunately, the book happens to have uh, error rate of close to 10 to 12%, which can be very troublesome. So just stick to iQuanta. If you think you need more practice material, for some reason, reach out to us and we will ensure that you get that. Dushyant, particular task in which we have mastered. Okay, that's the answer to skill. Apeksha, sir, how to stop overthinking when answering the RC? Apeksha, in the beginning, overthinking is good. But combine that overthinking with the elimination approach instead of selection approach. So don't think of, why is this answer choice right? As long as you're thinking of why is this answer choice wrong, I think your overthinking will actually be an asset. Arna, how to retain vocabulary apart from the usual try using the word? Okay, so Arna, first thing, try using the word is in itself a very challenging task. You know why? What is a word? How do we define it? Can I say that a word is a sound that we produce that conveys an image or an idea? So you'd be able to use that word only when you create opportunities to integrate that idea or that image in your communication. So the trouble is, most of us talk about the same set of things day in and day out, and therefore we don't even get that opportunity. So no, try using the word is good advice, but it works only in the long run. So if I talk about the short run, let me go ahead and I can then share my screen so that I can write these things as well. Mm, hmm, just a sec. Okay, so since the question is about vocabulary, I'll just switch over to an empty slide that I've conveniently named vocab. So at the end of the day, when it comes to retention, as a human being, there are just two tools that are available to you. Number one is revision, and number two is association. Right? So association basically means linking a word with something else that is already there in your mind. It can be an image, a sound, an idea, some other word. Huh? So for example, let's have a look at this word, huh? Abstemious. What do you understand by this word? Now, if a person is an adjective, if a person is abstemious, then it means that he's very watchful and very careful about what he eats or what he drinks. My association for this particular word, I have linked abstemious with abs. Why? Well, if you want to have abs, you need to have an abstemious lifestyle. You can't have abs if if you're not watchful about eating and drinking. Abs at the end of the day are made in the kitchen. So I've just associated it with something. So you can start using association based tools and methods to learn these things. So it can be the root word approach. It can be learning words in groups or clusters. It can be learning words through visual or auditory associations. So there are all sorts of tools that are available. Use those and they'll definitely help you with greater retention. And what I'll do is that I'll suggest some books from these domains that you can then start using. So Aditi, I hope that answers your questions too. Manthan, tips on how to read newspaper effectively without getting bored. Okay, so Manthan, first up, quite a few years ago, very many moons ago, I made my peace with the fact that studying is boring. And that if something is boring, it does not mean that we cannot do it. So ignore it. You're getting bored, it's okay, push through. And I'm not even talking about something new. You already use this strategy in your life. Come on, tell me, quick. How many of you like the textbooks that you read in school? How many of those subjects do you like? Anji, everyone. Very few, right? If you're like me, very few books. But you remember you are able to go ahead and read all of them. How? How are you able to read all of them? Because the result, the marks, the fact that you need to pass, that matters to you, isn't it? So you go ahead and I mean, you don't just read that book, but you read it with a superhuman ability. You are somebody who can read 300 pages of a boring textbook in a single night, the night before the exam. So you have that capability. So forget about whether something is boring or not. You can do it. Now, to answer the second part of the question, how to read the newspaper effectively. Now, effectively means reading it in such a way that it helps us with our goals. So we read a newspaper because our exam tests us on GK in one way or the other. So just go ahead and look at the GK part of the last few years of the exams. That will give you an understanding of what kind of things get asked. Alternatively, you can always ask Tarun sir for it, and Tarun sir can dive deep and help you. So when you look at when you look at a page of a newspaper, just scan it. You'd realize only 30% of the things in newspaper are relevant from the perspective of your exam. The rest, the remaining 70% are actually useless for us. So which politician said what in which particular rally? How does that even matter to us? So just remain confined to those areas which get asked in the exam and you'd automatically be effective. Nitya Shah's question, how to increase the speed in verbal? I take too much time to solve a question. So, Nitya, I can deconstruct it. Okay. So, where all does our time go? Our time can go in reading a question. Our time can go in deciding whether I want to attempt this question or not. In case you decide to attempt this question, then our time can go in thinking of how to solve the question. And then finally, the fourth and the last thing will be solving that question. So there are these four areas where we are spending time. So you can cut down on the time in each one of these four areas. So first up, reading takes time. Work on reading speed. If you increase your reading speed, I mean, imagine if you double or triple your reading speed, the time that you take will be cut down by half, by 2/3. So that helps. Then deciding whether to solve it or not. Know your strengths. Know whether you are comfortable with a particular question type or not, whether you are strong at that question type or not. So in your first round of the paper, when you're going through it, attempt only those things that you're comfortable with. So you'd be able to save some time. Then the third thing was approaching a question. Fine tune the approach. Approach is something that you can learn outside the exam. So learn it with the help of the faculty members here at iQuanta, and that will save you time. And then finally, execution. So if you are systematic in your execution, if you know exactly how to go about eliminating options in each one of those various question types, I think that will in general help you. But I'd once again like to emphasize accuracy matters more to us at this juncture. Focus on accuracy first. We can always chase speed later. Then Krishna Nadella, can you give a plan to start VA from now to a beginner? Absolutely, yes, I can. So what I will do is that I will create a beginner specific plan and share that with you. Okay, hang on. Let me just pick up a pen and write these things down. Otherwise, I'll forget. So what is it that I'm supposed to share with you guys so far? So a beginner plan for English. There is one more thing that I said a little while ago, and that is vocabulary resources. So I will share these things with you on your Facebook group or whatever that we have. Okay. Then Shivam has asked a very important question here. How to manage time? How many of us are struggling with time? Hmm. How many of you actually struggle with time management? I'm assuming a lot of you, right? So first up, time management is a myth. Rohit, once I answer this question, then we'll come to you, huh? So keep the hand raised. So time management is not about managing time. Time management is all about managing ourselves to utilize that time more effectively. Okay. So we need to manage ourselves. So first up, see, uh, okay, I'll keep it short. Otherwise it can become very expanded. So I'll talk about just two things. First is all of us have some habits. So what is a habit? A habit is something that we do consistently, that we do regularly, and it takes some of our resources. Now, if it takes us towards our goals, it's a good habit. If it takes us away from our goals, it is a bad habit. So observe, do you have any habits which take your time but are not taking you towards your goal? Just eliminate those. So that's one practical suggestion. The second practical suggestion is start maintaining a to-do list. So every night before I sleep, I make a list of the various things that I plan to do the next day, plan to do tomorrow. So to-do list is a very effective tool of staying on course. So I use this software called Todoist. In fact, you notice right here, this is the widget on my phone's home screen. So I use Todoist. If you have a phone, you can use that. Otherwise, any good old notebook will work. So go ahead and use that. So Rohit, you wanted to ask a question. Your turn. Please start. Hmm. Or anybody else here, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask that question. Okay. So if nobody's asking a question, I can go ahead and take up some more questions from the chat. Could you suggest, so Dhruv asks, could you suggest any novel or book to read on regular basis? And you are not into reading. Okay. So what you basically need is a beginner's list of books. All right. So I'll put certain things. Let me share some names in the chat. Okay. So you can, so I'm sharing 6 books for beginners. Read them in the order in which I have shared them with you. In the order in which I'm sharing them with you. So every book will represent the next level of difficulty in one way or the other. So here you go. So here are these names. Go ahead and go through these. Then Arna, how important are phrasal verbs? How much of it to learn? Arna, vocabulary is an endless area. Phrasal verbs are just a specific aspect of vocabulary, a very important aspect at that. So phrasal verbs to a certain extent are a bit like idioms, right? You cannot interpret them literally. So as many as you can really. Or at least the high frequency ones. Atul Anand, what is the right approach to solve RC? Atul, I've actually uploaded a video on our YouTube channel which talks about approach towards an RC passage. You can watch it and they'll give you a more detailed answer along with an example. Huh? So maybe look that up and that will help you. What else?
Sir,
Yeah. Who's
can
this?
you tell us
Aditi.
how to, yeah, can you tell us how to solve the critical reasoning questions? That is the assumption reasoning type, the statement conclusion types.
Okay, so let me ask a couple of quick follow-up questions. Keep yourself unmuted.
Sure.
Uh, what is assumption?
Uh, a statement is given basically, it's an assumption. We have to assume that it's true.
Hey,
And
can
there
we
are a
hang
list
on,
of,
hang on. Can we what is an assumption? How do we define it? I know the
we
question
have a
type.
theory.
Think, how do we define an assumption?
We have a theory and we assume that it's right.
Aditi, can we use the word assume while defining assumption? You see that will make it circular.
Yeah.
So that's step number 1. Let us understand what it is. So for example, just to carry this forward, you know that in our daily life, we form opinions, we take decisions, all that.
Yes.
Huh? So every time when you form an opinion or you take a decision, you'd notice that you have an opinion and that opinion is backed by some reasons. So
Yes.
here's your opinion. It is supported by some reasons. Now, these reasons technically are called premises. But then there are times when we talk to others about it. Now, when we talk to others about it, we may not state all our reasons that were used to arrive at that decision or that were used to form that opinion. So the reasons that were not stated, they are called assumptions. Huh? So an assumption represents a piece of information which is necessary to arrive at that conclusion, that opinion, that decision. For example, if I tell you today that, hey, I will call you tomorrow. I will call you tomorrow. You know, behind it, I believe that I will be alive tomorrow and
Yeah.
that you will be alive tomorrow. Because if I don't believe in these, I cannot say that I will call you tomorrow. I can't arrive at this decision. So those two automatically become what? Assumptions. Or let's take another example. If I ask you to, hey, why don't you go to the market and get some sugar? So when I say go to the market, get some sugar, I am assuming that the market is open. I am assuming that you are capable of going to the market. Right. So you
Yeah.
notice these things are prerequisites for me to take this decision. Such prerequisites are called assumptions. So I've just given you examples of some very foundational assumptions. It can, of course, the difficulty level can increase, but the idea is once we understand a question, then we can, then we'd have that clarity of how to approach it. And after that, there are these techniques involved. For example, when it comes to assumptions, my technique is negation. So those two assumptions that are given to you in that question, take the opposite of them to be true. So the moment you negate it, the moment you take the opposite of it, if you can no longer arrive at that conclusion, then you know that it is necessary. So it is an assumption. On the other hand, even when you negate it, the conclusion can still be arrived at, then it was not necessary, which means it is not an assumption. And we can do the same thing for every single question type thereafter. And I'm sure your classes, uh, either if you have gone through classes on these topics, then they have covered these things. And if those classes are yet to happen, they will cover these things. So don't worry. We will take care of it. And see, even if the class has happened and you are not able to understand it, it is not your responsibility. It is our responsibility to ensure that you understand. So
Yes.
just let us know, okay? Keep that feedback loop open. If even after the class your accuracy rate is below 70%, let us know and we'll do something to fix it for you. Then Chinu says, I'm a dropper
Thank you, sir.
student. Tell me how I can complete the course by December. Chinu, I'll share a beginner's plan for English that should help you. And I think by December, you can definitely uh, cover all the concepts. Some of the areas like grammar and vocabulary, they're pretty vast. So you can continue to work on these. But then let's see.
Sir,
Yes, somebody was a.
sir, I actually have a doubt. Till now, I was studying for my class 12th, and just recently I started preparing for IPMAT CUET.
Mhm.
So, uh, where can I learn my grammar and English concepts from and then do questions?
Classes, yeah, classes. You have video recordings of all the classes available. Go ahead and watch those recordings and follow those. That is going to be the shortest path to mastering these things.
Sir,
Otherwise,
I have not actually I have not joined any iQuanta batch. So
okay.
I was thinking of joining it, but I do not have clarity that
Okay.
which
Oh,
one
in
should
that
I
case,
join.
in that case, let's do one thing. So we basically get what we get within English. You need to work on. So basically, there are 5 things that you need to work on. Okay, verbal reasoning, vocabulary, grammar, RC, and VA. Verbal reasoning is something that you unfortunately it's never been taught to us formally. So verbal reasoning is something where I advise that you go ahead and work with a mentor. There is no good book or resource available that will help you. But for vocabulary, I have given some suggestions earlier. So you can go ahead and watch those suggestions. I will also share some more resources. You can start going through it. For grammar, pick up any basic grammar book, particularly the one that you used back in school. So for instance, when I was in high school, our teacher prescribed Wren and Martin. So you can also pick up Wren and Martin or any other such similar book. Please make sure that you go through 10 pages of that book every day. So that should help. Okay. Then for RC, begin by starting with practicing passages. Along with it, introduce some amount of reading to your schedule every day that challenges you. And after that, it all depends on your accuracy rate and the pattern of mistakes. So, every error that we commit in RC, it gives us a feedback that, hey, this is the ability that you lack. So if you repeatedly see a particular types like para jumbles and fill in the blanks, etc., practice those. But then by and large they are mostly technique driven. If you work hard enough on vocab, grammar, RC, chances are that you'd find those things easy. Verbal reasoning is the only thing that I'm kind of I can't, there is no short answer to it, right? You have to, I have to teach it and in order for you to learn it.
So,
Okay.
sir, which batch should I enroll into? Like,
Just
in which
reach out.
batch do you?
Just reach out to our team. They will talk to you, understand your requirements, and will recommend something to you. Okay, so
Thank
they
you, sir.
definitely help you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am Sneha. I want
Yes,
to
Neha.
ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us some tips for management? Like we have 12 boards exam too, and we have to manage IPMAT with it. And as boards are coming near, our coaching institutions are taking class tests
I know.
every week. So it's
Absolutely.
becoming harder for managing.
I can understand. Yeah, I can understand. So see, Sneha, first up, your boards are definitely a priority. Okay. So whatever
Yes.
time that you're left with after your boards, that is the time that you need to devote to your IPMAT preparation. So there are obviously going to be days when you'd have no time left, and that's okay. But then there are days when you have time left. So please make sure that you're allocating that time towards IPMAT. See, even if you have 5 minutes a day and you prepared for those 5 minutes, you have advanced by 5 minutes, right? And then the second thing that I said a little while ago was I gave two very concrete tips, right? Check your habits which are non-productive and start maintaining a to-do list. Engage in these two things, and they should definitely help. Okay. And then otherwise, it's a broad topic here. We can go ahead and keep on talking about it for really long period. But these two things are very impactful. Go ahead
Okay,
and work
sir.
on it.
Thank you.
Then Sneha, you'd also ask this other question about how to be consistent for
Yes.
VRC. So the core Sneha is consistency, right? So the to-do list should help with that as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Gorika covered all the basic concepts of grammar. From where do I practice it? Gorika, if you're part of iQuanta, you can always use your dashboard here. Otherwise, okay, Cambridge University Press has this series of books on grammar. They are basically self-study manuals. I'm jotting it down. I will share these names in the group. Okay. So otherwise, if you can jot it down, this is author. So Cambridge University Press, self-study English grammar manuals by Raymond Murphy. So just type Raymond Murphy and Cambridge University Press, and you'd find 2, 3 books. You can probably start with those. It's really good that you've completed the basics, huh? More power to you. Fantastic. Sneha has also started with word per easy, got bored. It's okay to be bored. And there are 47 sessions in that book. If you do just one session a day, you will be done with it in 47 days. So, and one session is about 10, 15 minutes. I'm sure you can take out that much most of the days. And Aryaman and everybody else, I can understand, yeah, with the boards approaching, you'd have that. But then, boards are a priority. After that, whatever time that you're left with, devoted to your preparation. And if you don't have any time left, it's okay. Everybody else is facing that same problem, all your competition. So don't worry. Arnav, that depends on the question type. So Arnav's question is sometimes author and my POV differs. So basically it simply means that we are supposed to understand the author and answer the questions on the basis of that. It's more a problem of comprehension. Depending upon which question type it happens in, we can go ahead and talk more about it. Manthan has a very relevant question. While making a to-do list, we become so much unpredictable, right? So many tasks which we don't accomplish next day, get demotivated. Manthan, you are absolutely right. Let me pull out the whiteboard. Okay, so let's dive into this. So I'll give you some 2, 3 very concrete tips. Number one, whenever you maintain a to-do list, please remember that it is a list of so it should be, so first up, your list should be task oriented and not time oriented. Now, what do I mean by it? You notice most of us have this exposure to this timetable that the school gives to us. And in the timetable, we have things like, uh, 10:45 to 11:20 SST, 11:20 to 11:50, whatever, something else. So we also start creating similar schedules, but that's not true. Come to think of it, if I want to cover, say, I want to cover 50 kilometers in 5 days. So if I make a plan, my plan will be that I need to walk for 10 kilometers every day, right? My plan cannot be I will walk for 3 hours every day. So when I write 3 hours every day, I am being time oriented. So we need to be task oriented. Okay. At the end of the day, we are supposed to finish the syllabus irrespective of the time it takes. So make it task oriented. And in this process, yes, there are times when you end up overestimating yourself. You may feel that, hey, I can do this much, but in reality, the time that you have available to you will not permit you to do that much. So keep making those adjustments, right? Then point number 2. Please make sure that your to-do list, whatever task that you list there, is a very specific task. Okay, so it's a specific task. So you cannot write vocabulary, because learning 2 words is vocabulary, learning 20 words is vocabulary. So what you'd write is something like word power made easy, session 23. That's specific. Or let us say you are working on time, speed, and distance in arithmetic. So arithmetic, time, speed, distance, exercise 2, question number 12 to 24. That's specific. So make it specific. And third, and the most important thing is your to-do list is a plan of your day. It is a plan of your day and not a plan of your studies, which means that if you're going and watching a movie, it should be there. If you have a cousin or a friend coming over, it should be there, because that's how you would know how much time you have available with you. Okay, without it, you can't even figure that out. So it's a plan of your day. So keep these 3 things in mind. There is another 4th thing which is important, but I think these 3 things, if you begin here, that should help you a lot. So I'll once again reiterate, your to-do list is a plan of your day, which means that everything, okay, your you watching a movie, you visiting friends, you're going on a date, you have some relatives coming over, whatever, it all should reflect. Then task oriented, and tasks should always be specific. And then please remember that you are not a bullet, you are a missile. In a bullet, what do? You ready, aim, and shoot. But when it comes to a missile, you ready, you shoot, and then you aim. So in a missile, as and when new information comes in, as and when new data trickles in, you can always go ahead and make those adjustments. Okay? So tinker, yaar. It's all right. So that should help. Then Ayush, sir, how did you prepare in your time to score 100 percentile? Ayush, I have a problem, man. I'm a junkie. When I go after something, I just go after something. Then nothing else matters to me. It's not a great thing. At times it can have its own ill effects too, but then that's just me. So I have to kind of constantly remind myself of, that I have multiple things to take care of and that I can't become obsessive. But then tell you what, I did not get just 100 percentile. You know what? I actually got 100% as well. So it requires a bit of obsession, I guess. Without that, it's difficult. Sneha says, sir, we kids are Gen Z. Are you? And some of us are still using social media. I know. So should we stop using it completely? If possible, yes. Once again, I told you, if there is something that consumes your time and does not take you towards your goals, you would want to stop it. Should you stop it completely? Not really. You can always schedule social media breaks. No. How about giving 10 minutes to social media every 3 hours? Right? So maybe work along those lines. Devang, I have just joined iQuanta, batch 2, class 11. Okay, Devank, there are some topics which are standalone. Okay, they do not depend on what was covered earlier. For those topics, attend the live classes. But if your class is covering a topic which requires prior understanding, which was given in one of those previous classes, then the recorded videos are going to be your jam. Okay. Aditi, can you suggest any technique to solve parajumbles? Okay, I can. Aditi, how about I make a video and put it on YouTube, because that discussion will take a little while. So I can do that. So I treat parajumbles as a puzzle. Remember those seating arrangement puzzles? So I treat parajumble as one of those seating arrangement puzzles. You can also treat it as a puzzle where you have clues and then you use those clues to arrange it. So 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 the next week, give me 3-4 days. I'll be traveling for the next 3 days, so I won't be able to create anything. But I will create a mini video where I'll go ahead and solve some 4 or 5 parajumble questions. I will upload that video on the YouTube channel. Hopefully, that'll give you that glimpse, huh? So just
Yes,
go ahead,
thank
subscribe
you.
to the channel, stay tuned to it, and I'll talk.
Yes, that
Mrigang,
would be good, yeah.
we have also to go through writing composition part. Mrigang, you can leave the composition part. Although learning about constructing a paragraph can be useful for parajumbles, but even if you don't have that, it's okay. So skip the composition part and focus more on the grammar part.
सर
Sure. What else? Ayush, go ahead.
एक डाउट था
पूछ भाई.
सर, जब हम लोग जैसे आरसी स्टार्ट करते हैं तो स्टार्टिंग ही में आरसी क्वेश्चन रहता है, तो पहला तो हर्डल हम लोग ये फेस करते हैं कि पहले आरसी से स्टार्ट करें या फिर लास्ट में आरसी करेंगे, पहले सब सॉल्व कर लेते हैं। तो पहला तो हर्डल ये हो गया। और दूसरा हम लोग को ऑब्स्टिकल ये आता है कि जब भी हम लोग कोई आरसी पढ़ते हैं तो उसमें काफी सारा इंफॉर्मेशन और फैक्ट दिया रहता है। तो जब हम लोग फर्स्ट टाइम स्टार्ट करते हैं रीडिंग करना, तो जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन जैसे कोई फैक्ट दिया हुआ है लाइक 2500 की केजी या कुछ भी डेट मेंशन्ड है, डेट को हम लोग याद करके आगे बढ़ते जाए कि बस पहले बार में रीडिंग करते करते बढ़ते जाए। और एक और अप्रोच तो ये है कि कुछ भी इंफॉर्मेशन मिला है तो उसको बगल में लिखते जा रहे हैं और पढ़ते जा रहे हैं। और एक अप्रोच हो गया कि बस कैजुअली रीड कर रहे हैं उसको एंड लास्ट में क्वेश्चन देख रहे हैं फिर वापस आ रहे
तो
हैं।
मैं तेरा पहला सवाल भूल गया, बट मैं इस सवाल का आंसर देता हूं पहले तो, कि जब भी आप पैसेज को पहली बार पढ़ें तो ओवरव्यू के लिए पढ़ें, डिटेल्स के लिए बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ें, और लिखना तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं है यार। देखो, द मोमेंट योर पेन टचेस पेपर, इट इज गोइंग टू टेक मोर टाइम। सो वी वांट टू डू एवरीथिंग मेंटली। तो जो भी फैक्ट्स है रीडिंग के टाइम पे आपको ना, सिर्फ अब एक एग्जांपल लेता हूं। लेटर से मैंने एक आर्टिकल पढ़ा विराट कोहली पे, ठीक है, जिसमें पहले पहले पैराग्राफ में विराट कोहली को इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया, दूसरे पैराग्राफ में उसके चाइल्डहुड के बारे में बताया गया, फिर तीसरे में उसके फैमिली और ग्रोइंग अप ईयर्स, फैमिली और इनिशियल क्रिकेटिंग जर्नी के बारे में बताया गया, फिर चौथे में बताया उसका वनडे परफॉर्मेंस, पांचवें में बताया टेस्ट, फिर बताया T20। तो अब ना, जब मैं इसको पढ़ूंगा तो हर एक में बहुत सारे फैक्ट्स होंगे यार, मुझे वो सारे फैक्ट्स याद रखने ही नहीं है। मुझे सिर्फ ये याद रखना है कि चाइल्डहुड कौन से पैराग्राफ में था, T20 कौन से पैराग्राफ में था, वनडे कौन से पैराग्राफ में था। तो अब जब क्वेश्चन कोई सवाल पूछेगा तो मैं हमेशा उस पैराग्राफ पे वापस जा सकता हूँ ना आंसर देने। तो अगर सारी चीजें रिटेन करने लग गए तो बहुत टाइम कंज्यूमिंग हो जाएगा, हम वो नहीं चाहते। सो आपने एक वर्ड यूज किया था कैजुअली। कैजुअली तो नहीं पढ़ते हम पैसेज को, पढ़ते तो बहुत इंटेंट के साथ है, बट द गोल इज टू क्रिएट एन ओवरव्यू ऑफ द पैसेज। ओके, तो वो ओवरव्यू वाली चीज मैंने, एज ए सेट, मैंने एक वीडियो आरसी अप्रोच का बना के यूट्यूब के आपके चैनल के लिए बनाया भी था। अब मुझे पता नहीं अपलोड हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ, मैं चेक कर लूंगा। हो गया होना चाहिए क्योंकि 1 हफ्ता हो गया बनाए हुए। तो उसे एक बार देख लीजिए, दैट शुड हेल्प यू लॉट। अब एक बार बिल्कुल शुरू में तुमने जो सवाल पूछा था वो दोबारा पूछ लो, मैं वो भूल गया, ताकि वो भी कवर हो जाए। आयुष,
यस सर, वो क्वेश्चन था कि हम लोग पहले आरसी अप्रोच करें या ये सब्जेक्टिव है कि आरसी कभी भी
अच्छा,
अप्रोच
हाँ।
करें।
सो हाँ यार, ये ना आपने बहुत अच्छा वर्ड यूज किया, सब्जेक्टिव है ना, बिल्कुल सब्जेक्टिव है। देखो, हम चाहेंगे दैट वी वांट टू गो फ्रॉम इजी क्वेश्चंस टू डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस, लेस टाइम कंज्यूमिंग क्वेश्चंस टू मोर टाइम कंज्यूमिंग क्वेश्चंस। तो वो मिक्स ना हर एक के लिए अलग अलग होगा। तो अगर मैं कोई इंग्लिश का ऐसा पेपर दे रहा हूं जिसमें लेटर से वोकैबुलरी के सवाल भी हैं, तो मैं जनरली कोशिश करूंगा कि मैं वोकैब से शुरू करूं, क्योंकि वो यार पर क्वेश्चन ऑन एन एवरेज बट इट विल टेक 20 सेकेंड्स, है ना, आए चाहे ना आए, 20 सेकंड में हो तो जाएगा ही। तो फिर वो ना क्लैरिटी रहती है कि कितना टाइम मेरे पास ओवरऑल और बचा हुआ है। और उसके बाद आरसी में भी मैं पैसेजेस को प्रियोरिटाइज करता हूँ, जो मेरे लिए मुश्किल है वो बाद के लिए रखता हूँ। फिर बीच बीच में हो सकता है कि मैं वीए में स्विच कर जाऊं अगर मुझे लगे कि उसमें कम टाइम में ज्यादा मार्क्स ले पाऊंगा, तो ये थोड़ा सा सब्जेक्टिव है। बट इसके लिए भी ना मैं एक काम करता हूँ, मैं इसके लिए भी मैं एक ये जो टेस्ट टेकिंग स्ट्रेटजी है इसका भी एक वीडियो बना करके डाल देंगे, मैं इसको लिख ही रहा हूँ साथ साथ। और ये मतलब इसका कोई वन साइज फिट्स ऑल सॉल्यूशन नहीं होगा। once you know your strengths you can adjust, so I can tell you how I will go ahead and attempt a particular section within a mock that you've probably written, and I'll also tell you why I have opted for that sequence, और उससे शायद आपको थोड़ी मदद मिले। ठीक है,
ओके सर,
और
थैंक यू।
कुछ?
और सर ये जो फ्रेजल वर्ब्स होते हैं ये तो मेमोराइज करना इजी नहीं है, मतलब ये इम्पॉसिबल है। लेकिन अगर
आ,
जैसे कि हम कोई भी
नहीं नहीं,
फ्रेजल
देखो,
वर्ब,
सुनो सुनो सुनो, इसमें दो चीजें हैं। पहली चीज, जब आप बोलते हैं इजी नहीं है, इम्पॉसिबल है, पहले इसको फिक्स कर लेते हैं। फ्रेजल वर्ब मेमोराइज करना इजी भी है, पॉसिबल भी है, इनफैक्ट बहुत इजी है। कम टू थिंक ऑफ इट, अब एक बात बताओ, मैंने आज तुम्हें किसी नए व्यक्ति से इंट्रोड्यूस किया, तुम उसको नहीं जानते, है ना? अब अगर मैं तुमको बोलूं कि यार ये रहा बंदा, इसको देखो और इसका नाम बताओ, है ना, हियर इज अ पर्सन, लुक एट हिम एंड टेल मी हिज नेम, कैन यू डू दैट? You can't, because the name given to a person has no logic behind it. So the only way to know someone's name is to ask that person. So let us say that the person that I introduced you to was named Rocky, right? तो ये जो नाम है ना, ये नॉलेज है, दिमाग से नहीं आ सकता, लॉजिक से नहीं आ सकता, नॉलेज एक्वायर ही करनी पड़ेगी। सो अब why am I giving you this example? लर्निंग अ न्यू फ्रेजल वर्ब इज जस्ट लाइक लर्निंग अ पर्सन्स नेम। तो किसी का नाम याद करना मुश्किल होता है क्या? एक बार बंदे से मिला दिया रॉकी, तुम याद कर लोगे। इसमें चैलेंज ये नहीं है कि याद नहीं हुआ, चैलेंज ये है कि अगर मैंने कल को तुमको बोला कि ये ना 3,000 बंदे, इनके नाम याद करो। सो हियर द प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट दैट द एरिया इज डिफिकल्ट और लर्निंग इट इज इम्पॉसिबल। द चैलेंज इज दैट ऑफ वॉल्यूम, द चैलेंज इज दैट ऑफ sheer नंबर। इट इज लाइक my telling you that, hey, I want you to eat 500 kilos of rice. If you try to do that in a day, well, God helps you, you can't do that. But what if you decide कि मैं रोज 500 ग्राम खाऊंगा? तो फिर तो खा ही जाओगे ना तुम 250 दिन में। So similarly, if you keep learning a few of the new words, a few of those phrasal verbs every day, you can do it. Just remain consistent. हाँ, बट ये ना एंडलेस एरिया है वोकैबुलरी और फ्रेजल वर्ब्स, तो इसलिए वो वहां से थोड़ा चैलेंज आएगा, पर हो जाएगा यार। इसको डिफिकल्ट मत बोलो, इम्पॉसिबल मत बोलो, है आसान। वॉल्यूम इज द चैलेंज, एंड द आंसर टू दैट वॉल्यूम प्रॉब्लम इज रेगुलरिटी, इज कंसिस्टेंसी। हाँ, और इसमें यार एक ना तुमको एक बात, लेट्स लिसन टू दिस स्टोरी। वन फाइन डे देयर वर दीस टू फ्रेंड्स who went to a forest for a picnic. So they spread their mat, they opened their boxes, and they sat down to eat. Suddenly, a lion came there, and the lion looked at both of them hungrily. है ना, कुछ 200 मीटर दूर शेर, दो दोस्त बैठे हैं, उनको देख रहा है। So one of those friends immediately got up and started running. The other friend started putting on his shoes, his sneakers. So the friend who was running, he looked at the other guy and said, "Are you crazy? You can't outrun the lion. Run." So the guy who was putting on the sneaker looked at his friend and said, "Hey, I don't need to outrun the lion. I need to outrun you." So similarly, vocabulary, it's like a lion. You can't outrun it. You can't learn everything. But then the good thing is, you don't need to learn everything. You just need to learn more than your competition, because that will allow you to leave them behind. फिर शेर उनको पकड़ के खा जाएगा, तुम बच जाओगे, तुम्हारा सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा। तो फाइट ही नहीं है यार, रोज रोज करो। मैं तुम्हें बता रहा हूं, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर नॉट इवन स्टडिंग एवरी डे, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर नॉट इवन गिविंग देयर बेस्ट टू द प्रिपरेशन। The moment you start giving your best, and once again, you have your 12th and all that, there are days when you have only 5 minutes, so even giving those 5 minutes is giving your best. Okay, the moment you start doing that, you are going to be ahead of 90% of the people who are preparing, because they're not even studying regularly. Okay,
ओके सर, थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Then-
एक बस लास्ट क्वेश्चन था।
हाँ बता आयुष। आयुष में एक
सर-
मिनट ने अपेक्षा ने एक सवाल भेजा, वो पूछ करके फिर I'll come back to you.
ओके
So
सर, ओके
Apeksha
सर।
started researching about IPMAT, QA matters more, personally have better command at VRC. Apeksha, at this juncture, you would want to become better at everything. It is not even an either or situation, right? So do focus on quant. If you're already good at VRC, then it means that you don't need to give as much time to it as your competition does. Does need to, huh? So definitely focus on QA, turn that into your strength too. And don't ignore QA, huh? Now, Ayush, your question. Anyone else who has any other question otherwise? No? Okay. Oh, in that case, let's stop here today. And then whenever you have a chunk of questions, whenever you have some questions, make sure that you reach out to us. And I will try to ensure that we keep conducting more of these sessions together so that you don't even have to worry. Aditi, Aditi, I've kind of answered this earlier, but what I will do is that I will talk to Tarun sir, and I'll request him to make a video for us on this. Okay. And that will hopefully help. Right. So chale, so that's where I stop. Ram, it was an AMA, so there can't be a summary, right? There are different questions that got asked, and I went on to answer those things. So if some of those questions are relevant for you, you can go ahead and listen to the respective parts. Prachi already answered this question. Sneha, what was my study plan? Yeah, don't ask. I told you, I'm a junkie, right? When I get obsessed, I just live that area. But then start maintaining a to-do list. That is what will help you. Chaliye, so I had a pleasure interacting with you guys. I look forward to meeting you guys once again. And as and when you get back to us with your challenges, we would love to organize workshops on specific areas. We would love to go ahead and conduct more of these AMAs. Kuber, yes, I have recorded the session. So we definitely have, so I'm sure we'd upload it. Ayush, yes, I can write a quick name for you. So if you don't like word par made easy, there is this another book called All About Words or something. The author's name is, there is an author duo, okay? Nurnberg and Rosenblum. So you can use that book instead of word par made easy, and that's fine too. Okay? टू डू लिस्ट वाले ऐप का नाम, बहुत सारे ऐप है यार. द वन दैट आई यूज इज कॉल्ड टू डूइस्ट. और भी है, टिक टिक करके एक ऐप है, और भी है, बट टू डू इज आई फाइंड इट सिंपल. मतलब इसके फ्री वाले प्लान में भी ना वो सारे फीचर्स है जो हमें जनरली चाहिए. देन कुछ चीजें हमें रोज रोज करनी होती है, तो उसमें लिख के छोड़ सकते हो और डू दिस एवरी डे, तो वो हर दिन अपने आप आता रहेगा टू डू लिस्ट में, आपको बार बार लिखना नहीं पड़ेगा. बट देन आई सेड एप्स, फोन्स आर नॉट नेसेसरी, राइट? Even a notebook suffices. Chaliye, so that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, and stay in touch, and enjoy your Sunday. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.